beautiful stars, welcome back to my channel and happy Halloween! I hope that you're doing so well today and having a very happy Halloween wherever you are and whatever you're doing today to celebrate. I'm just so excited that I was able to install another Molli-Ween season onto my channel. This is my last video of Molli-Ween for 2025 and I just want to thank you all for joining me this year. For today's video, I'm going to be covering the Queen Mary because this place is actually a haunted place that I've visited myself that is not in the Midwest. Such a shocker. I know I talk a lot about Minnesota, Wisconsin and stuff and haunted places there, but I thought it'd be fun to touch on this place because it is very, very heavy with all the hauntings and it's known as one of the most haunted places in America. There's been so many countless shows filmed there and a lot of ghost investigating YouTubers will go there and it's definitely a hot spot for the paranormal. So of course, like always, I'm going to touch on some history of the place and then dive into the spooky encounters. So let's just get into it. So the Queen Mary is permanently docked in Long Beach, California, and it was permanently docked there in 1967, in December of 1967, after being sold to the city of Long Beach for over $3 million. I'm like thinking about that in the 60s, I'm like, that was a lot of money. Yeah, she ended up being permanently docked after several years of roaming around the Atlantic. She set on her first voyage from Scotland in 1936 and she traveled a lot of transatlantic cruises. It was a luxury cruise line that was offered to some of the elite, such as Greta Garbo, the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, Clark Gable, and even Sir Winston Churchill. So very cool. Some very high profile names have wandered the halls of the Queen Mary. They offered a lot of really awesome things on board. They had the first and second class pool. They even had like a third class pool, I remember, but I think that eventually like went away. I could be wrong. I feel like, because I've researched like a couple of other ships and stuff like this one, I know like having pools on a cruise pretty exciting back then. They also had like a first class lounge and a salon. Yeah, they just offered some really wonderful things for their guests. When World War II started in 1939, the luxury cruise line and many other cruisers like it ceased their operations and instead provided travel for troops. The Queen Mary soon became the Grey Ghost. It actually transported troops during World War II. During this time, the capacity of the ship changed from 2,410 people to 5,500 people. By the time the war had ended, the ship had hosted 800,000 troops and had traveled over 600,000 miles, which is so crazy to think about. And then once the war was over, the Queen Mary was then refurbished and it went back to being a luxury cruise liner. Did that up until the early 1960s. Cruising became less of an it thing and there was a rising popularity in air travel. So the Queen Mary ended up being sold to the city of Long Beach for over, like I said, $3 million, which is crazy. Been permanently docked there since December of 1967. It started as a luxury hotel and museum on the water. It's been that way for years and years. If you've never been, it's really cool. They have a lot of history. They offer tours and stuff, so definitely worth going there, especially if you're in the area. Over the past 60 years, the Queen Mary has reported 49 deaths, which I'm like, that's surprising how small. You know, you think it would be a lot more just considering how long it's been there and like how long it was cruising around too. But that's just all that's been reported. And then of course it experienced the war. Imagine how many haunting things happened within the walls of that ship. The engine room is actually one of the hotbeds of paranormal activity. There have been 2 deaths reported due to door number 13 crushing them to death, which is terrible, and they happened at 2 different times actually. And one of them happened to an 18-year-old boy and he's seen wearing blue overalls and people actually spot him hanging out by the door. They'll turn around, look back, and he's gone. So that's just one of the encounters that people experience down there. It's 50 meters below water level, so I think adds like a little bit of a creep factor, at least to me, because like I kind of have that like submophobia. I don't know if that's even like the right word for it, but you know when things are like submerged in water and they like come out, like the animatronics and stuff, I'm like I can't think about it too long or I get grossed out. There is one of the rooms, it's like a propeller room and you can see like the propellers under the water and the water is so still and everyone talks about how eerie that room feels, and I don't know if it's just because of that or if it's because it's haunted, but it could be both, definitely. Another haunting is talking about Jackie, the little girl that has been spotted in the first and second class swimming pool area. area. This is still there. It's such a cool room, really eerie. They added like this water effective like light, so it looks like the water is like shimmering off onto the walls. She's been spotted quite a few times. She's shown up on EVP as well, which is super cool that people have that kind of proof. Supposedly Jackie had drowned in the pools when nobody was watching, and then there actually had been like no Jackie found in any of the directories, or like she wasn't traveling with anybody, so they don't know if she had happened to be like a third class passenger, and that's why there wasn't like a lot of documentation on her. But she has stuck around and people have heard her whisper, they've heard her giggle, and of course they've seen her walking around the pool area. That's where she likes to hang, and she's a well-known ghost in that area. Another ghost is actually a lady in white. I feel like a lady in white is very common. This is a ghost that is seen in a very elegant white gown, and she hangs around what used to be the first class salon, and it was a really cool lounge that they offered to their first class passengers, and she's seen dancing around in the corner by herself. A few other hauntings include seeing a tall man dressed in a 1930s style suit, and he's tall and has dark hair, and he's just walking around, and then all of a sudden he's gone. Some people also hear, of course, squeals and squeaks, doors moving without anyone being there, heavy breathing. Water will turn on in the bathrooms by themselves. People will feel tugging on the bed sheets when they're sleeping in the beds at night. Another thing that people have experienced is cold spots. Of course, they'll smell scents from the past, so like different perfumes and cigarette smoke and things like that. Another common one is they'll have the phone ring and then they'll pick it up and nobody's on the other line, which is so eerie. There's some really haunted rooms on the ship. There's one of the most haunted ones, like room number 3 something. I'll probably put it on the screen if I can recall what it is, but it's pretty spooky, and a lot of people have experienced some pretty crazy stuff when they've stayed in that room or stayed near it. This place is definitely the epicenter for some paranormal activity. I would highly recommend visiting if you ever have the time or find yourself near the Long Beach area. I hope that you enjoyed today's video about the Queen Mary. I think this is such a cool place. I definitely want to go back and visit again. Hope you have a very happy and safe Halloween, and I'll see you in my next video. Until then, shine bright. Bye.